Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting, to a very special board meeting actually, because today we are concluding my top 100 games of all time. We went through the entire list except for my 10th through first games of all time, and that's what's happening today. And um, I went back and looked at my top 10 video that I did last year around this time, and I just wanted to see what games were kind of reoccurring and everything like that. And it turns out 8 of the 10 games that I'm going to be talking about today were actually on in the top 10 last year, but they're just moved around a little bit. So there's 2 new games to the top 10, where 8 of them are coming back to get vengeance. But like I said, they're switching around the numbers and everything. Let's just jump right into it though with number 10, my 10th favorite game of all time. This was number 8 last year when I made this list. That is Wingspan. Wingspan is this engine building bird themed game, and it's a Stonemaier game. And this seems to have a lot of people. You either love it or you think it's super overrated. I'm one of the people that I really enjoy this game. I love this game. I think it's very friendly to new gamers, but a very good game with some strategy for people who've played quite a bit of games. And one thing I like about this game is why I think it's a good intro game is it ramps up the complexity as the game goes forward. At the start of the game, you only have 4 different actions you can take. You can take one of those 4 actions. You're going to play a bird by paying its resource cost. You are going to collect resources. You're going to either get eggs or you're going to get more cards. You're going to do one of those 4 actions. But as you play out birds, the actions get better and better. So if you play out a bird and put it on the resource section of your little player board, you get to take that bird's action if it's a brown bird power plus getting the resources, and you're going to get more resources as you have more birds on that area. So I like that it ramps up the complexity. It almost like teaches you. It's like simple, and then it starts getting more and more and more complex as your powers get better and better. So number 10, Wingspan. Going to number 9. Number 9 is a cheatsy doodle of a pick because I'm picking 2 different games for this, but they are so similar to me with just different themes. Number 9, which number 9 was number 17 last year. This is Seven Wonders Duel, but I'm combining in Unforgiven this year. Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial. And why I'm throwing both of these games in is because they're so similar to me. Like, Unforgiven just came out last year, and it's just a new theme. It throws a historical theme on the Seven Wonders Duel, which is a pretty abstract game. And I think that's why I'm moved up. Seven Wonders Duel has moved up on the list, is because I like Unforgiven, because I like the theme of it. And this is sort of just this drafting game. It uses that pyramid drafting system where you're going to have a bunch of cards overlapping other cards, and when you take one of the cards, it will reveal maybe 2 other cards that other person can now draft. So it makes for a bunch of interesting decisions drafting wise, and I really like that. And in both games, you can win the game in 2 different ways. You can either have the most points at the end of the game, or you can end the game immediately by doing 2 other things. Like in Seven Wonders Duel, there's a military track. If you go so far along on the military track, you win. Or there is a science victory where you get collect so much science, you win instantly for that too. But they're so similar. It almost feels like Unforgiven was just a retheme of it. But I actually like Unforgiven more just because it throws that theme on it that I really enjoy. So number 9 was Seven Wonders Duel and Unforgiven. Going to number 8. Number 8 was number 1 last year, and this took a hit. Number 8 is Architects of the West Kingdom. My favorite game of all time from last year and the year before that. It was my favorite game for a couple of years. I really enjoy Architects of the West Kingdom. It's this worker placement game, but I think you start with 20 workers, which is unique for worker placement games. You usually get more and more workers as the game goes on. In this game, you're going to be placing your workers out on these spots, and the spots are going to get better because it's not restrictive to one player or even one meeple. The more of your meeples that are on a spot, that spot becomes more and more powerful for you. So other people are going to watch you look at which spots you've gone to and see how powerful that action's gotten for you. But then they can go and send your people to jail actually and capture them. But you can just get them right back, so that doesn't feel too much. Like, I don't like take that games too much, but this doesn't feel too bad because you can just go to a spot and get them all back again anyways. So it's not a huge deal. But I like everything about this game. And why it did drop out of my number one is because I did have a couple bad games of this. Because why I like this game so much is the snappy turns. Usually, people are placing out their meeples pretty rapidly because you're like, I'm gonna go to the wood spot 3 times in a row. So on your turn, you go wood spot, gather your wood, next person's turn. So usually, a lot of times your turns are 10 seconds. A lot of times. This last 2 times I played this game, I was playing with people, and I don't mean to call these people out. I enjoyed it, but the game took much longer than I wanted it to because they were being not very decisive with their turns. So each turn was taking, a couple minutes rather than a couple seconds. Like I like this game when it's fast and snappy, when everybody knows what's happening and what they're doing. So it dropped a little bit, but it's still in my top 10. And so obviously I really like it. I love Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald, what they do when they combine their designing powers together. I think they did an amazing job with the West Kingdom games. I love all 3 of them. Now they're moving into, I think, the South Tigris, something like that series, which I'm really excited to check that out and see what they're doing with that now. So number 8 was Architects of the West Kingdom. Going to number 7. Number 7 was number 10 last year. This is my favorite filler card game. This is The Crew. Now, before I had the original Crew on there, this time I'm replacing it with the sequel. That's The Crew Mission Deep Sea, which is almost the same exact game, just minor little improvements. You could put either of these games on as my number 7, but I like the newer one better. It replaced the old one for me. I love this filler card game. It's a cooperative trick-taking game, which sounds like it shouldn't work at all, but it works really well. You're going to have to think together as this group, almost without communicating, because you can't talk about what cards are in your hand, but you're trying to have certain people win certain tricks, and without talking about them, you're trying to math out what cards have been played. It is just an intriguing game that I don't think should work, but it works really well, and everyone I've played it with has loved it. I've bought this game for probably 10 people as a giveaway gift, or just a gift just to show them the game. So yes, number 7 is The Crew. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 is the only game on here that was not on my top 100 list at all at any point in previous years, and that's because it is a new to me game, and that is this one, Atlantis Rising. This is a cooperative game. The second edition came out. I never got to play the first edition, so I didn't really have an opinion about it, but I'd heard, who was it? I think it was Z Garcia kept raving about this game, and I was waiting for this game to come out to be released in my area, and finally it was last year, at the beginning of last year, and we've played this game a ton as a group, and I like it because it plays well at all player counts. I like it as a solo game. I like it as a 2-player game. You can play this up to 7 players, and we have, and I liked it at 7 players even. The theme of this is you are all on Atlantis, and the Atlantis is sinking down, and so you're trying to go around collecting these resources as the arms of this island are slowly being flooded, and you're going on the edge of them hoping that that tile doesn't flood, and if it does flood, you don't get to take those actions if you're on that tile that floods for that turn. So you can play it risky, it's like this push your luck game, or you can play it safe and take all the actions that are more inland, and I really like that. One thing that I really like about this game is the unique player powers. All of them feel very powerful. I love variable player powers that make you feel unique, make you feel powerful, and that's what these player powers do for this game. And it's become, it's my favorite cooperative game for this year. So number 6, Atlantis Rising, 2nd edition. Going to number 5. Number 5 was number 7 last year, and I didn't realize this now, but that's kind of funny. Number 5 is Five Tribes. This is that Bruno Catala game. Love me some Bruno Catala. Uh, this is this Mancala sort of system that uses like 100 different meeples, and all these meeples are different colors, and they're going to be scattered along all these tiles. I think it starts with like 3 or 4 meeples on each of them. You're going to grab all the meeples from one of the tiles and move along all the tiles, dropping off one on each of these tiles until you get to your final destination, and then you can take, and then you're going to drop off that last one, take all the meeples of that color and take that meeple's special power, but then you get to take that tile's special ability as well. So you're just comboing a bunch of things, trying to think of a very thinky game of how you're going to do things. There's these Jin cards that will give you special abilities and powers as well. So there's a bunch going on, and this is by far a best at 2 players, in my opinion. You can play at 2 to 4 players, and I think there's a solo variant now that I've not played. But in my opinion, this is 100% a 2-player game. When I've played at 3 or 4 players, I didn't really like it as much. At 3 or 4 players, I'm not sure it would make my top 100, but at 2 players, it makes number 5. So really recommend it. I love everything about this game, the thinkiness of it, all your decision space. You're gonna have to think of what you want to do on your turn, but you also have to think of not leaving your opponents with some really powerful moves. So you're gonna have to think about your turn and making sure you don't leave your opponent open for some massive turn that's going to get them a lot of points. So number 5 is Five Tribes. Going to number 4. Number 4 was number 6 last year, so moved up a little bit. This is Circadian's First Light. This is by S.J. McDonald, the co-designer of the West Kingdom games. This is a solo design for him. And in this game, this is a dice worker placement game. I've talked about dice worker placement games. I love dice worker placement games. And because when you roll the dice, then you have to change your strategy on the go. I like that. But in this game, you are going to be exploring this new planet. You're playing as humans. So you're going to roll your dice, and you have to either decide to use those dice to send on a ship to go explore certain little areas and do different actions, or you're going to have to keep them at your home base and farm resources for them. And resources are hard to come by in this game, and you're going to have to use resources for everything. And you're going to be negotiating with the aliens of this planet. Well, I guess you wouldn't be I guess you are the aliens in this game, where you're trading with the home people of the planet. And I just really like this game. So it's my favorite dice worker placement game, and that says a lot because of how much I like them. But like I said with Atlantis Rising, I like this special variable player powers that you play as in this game. The player powers really change your strategy of how you want to go about, which actions you want to do, how you want to plan your entire game. Kind of is determined by your player for the most part. I think it's always fun to lean into your player and go with your strategy for there. So number 4 was Circadian's First Light. Going to number 3. Number 3 was number 3 last year, and this is Castel. This is a sport. Castelling is a sport that I didn't know about until I bought this game. I had no clue about Castelling, and Castelling is a sport in, I believe it's Catalonia, about building these giant human pyramids, these towers, these massive towers. And if you get a chance, YouTube Castelling, because watching these people and these kids perform this sport is amazing. But what drew me to this game was that unique theme. I'd never heard of Castelling. I don't know of another game that uses Castelling. Maybe there is, but I have not played one. But this is a pretty heavy game. And when I'm talking about this game, I don't know another game to compare it to. It's so unique. You're going to be going around this map, collecting new Castellers to join your team, and you're going to be building your towers certain ways that certain festivals want you to. So you're trying to go around collecting these guys and just perform in these festivals, doing the best you can at building these giant human pyramids that are made out of these tiles that you're going to be pulling out of bags. So number 3, Castel. Highly recommend it. Check it out. Nobody seems to talk about this one as much as I think it deserves. Going to number two. Number two was number four, and I thought this one would be number one this year, but another game beat it out, obviously. This is Scythe. And last year, when I put it at number four, we had just got done in the last couple months playing The Rise of Fenris, which actually hurt it. I love the Rise of Fenris campaign. Trust me, if you like Scythe, get it. It auto buy. It is an amazing experience, an amazing campaign. But it hurt it a little bit because we played all of the scenarios really fast. We played like 10 games of Scythe or 8 games, whatever it is, in a matter of a month or so. And so we didn't play Scythe for something like 8 months, 8 or 9 months, because we took a pretty big break from it because we played it so much. But it's an amazing game. It's like this resource management, area control, Euro style meets Ameritrash. There's combat, but combat isn't even close to the main mechanic of this game or the most important of this game. So it's this very thinky game, and it's very tense all the time. I remember the first couple times I was playing this game, I felt so tense that my hands were shaking while I was playing it because I was jacked up with all this energy and this tension that was going on in the game. It's one that I love to break out. It's an event game. If we play Scythe, it's because we planned to play Scythe for that day. That was going to be the main thing happening that day. We were going to break out a massive game of Scythe. And one of my opinions of this game is maybe not that popular of one, is I like this game at 7 players. I like it at max player count because it shrinks that board up so much. All the spaces are more hard to come by. You're going to have to fight tooth and nail for every inch of that board. And I like that because it changes the game. If you're playing like a 2 or 3 player game, it changes that game massively. In a 2 or 3 player game, you can kind of go around the board doing whatever you want. In a 7 player game, you are all smooshed in that map. And I really like that. And that's the second Stonemaier game on my top 10. First one being Wingspan, this one being Scythe. I like Stonemaier games for the most part. Well, I would say I either like Stonemaier games or I don't. So number 2 is Scythe. Going to number 1, my new reigning champion, favorite game of all time. It's not a new game because it was number 2 last year. So a game that I obviously love. And not many people are going to be surprised by this. This is Unmatched. Unmatched is almost comparable to a living card game, but it has miniatures in it. And now in this game, you are going to pick one of your heroes, or one hero, one person to play as in this game, and you're going to take on another person. Or in my case, my group loves to play this game 2 versus 2. It's basically the only way we play this game now is a 4-player 2 versus 2 game. So it becomes cooperative versus cooperative game. But you're going to pick your hero. You're going to get their custom deck. You're going to get their custom little miniature, and the miniatures look amazing. All of the characters look play very differently. I think Restoration Games has done an amazing job of making these decks so different. And every few months they release a few new heroes. I have everything for this game, and I'm not slowing down. It's an automatic buy anytime a new pack of heroes comes out. And I think the theme is one that really draws me in. Hey Griff, you want to talk about my number 1 too? But the theme kind of draws me in because you take these heroes out of time, wherever they're from, whatever IP they are from, and you play versus other heroes that don't belong in that universe. I mean, you can take Sinbad and versus Deadpool. You can take Beowulf and versus Little Red Riding Hood. You can take the Raptors from Jurassic Park and fight Bigfoot. There is a ton of options in this game, and you're not really ever going to play, unless you play the same 4 characters at the time. There's Bloody Mary now. There's Achilles. I love that. And they're just starting to release the Marvel hero sets, which I'm really excited about, only because I like this game so much. I wasn't that pumped when I heard they were coming out with Marvel sets. I kind of would rather them stick with the narrative of getting these heroes that are not IP based, I guess. Uh, like I really like the King Arthur setting and stuff like that that they've just gone with and picking these random heroes throughout time. Getting the Marvel, I'm excited about them, but less so than some of the other sets that have been coming out. Like the Battle of Legends Volume 2 was amazing with Bloody Mary and Yenaga and Achilles and the Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. So yes, number one is unmatched. I love everything about it. Love it to pieces. Anytime someone wants to play this game, I am down. Anytime I no game gets me more excited to play it than Unmatched. So it had to be my number one. So yeah, number one, Unmatched. All of the sets are amazing. And that will complete my whole top 100 list. I mean, I did all 10 of these videos in a matter of 22, 23 days. So I'm pretty worn out. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break, but I will definitely be back making a couple videos every single week like I normally do. So if you did enjoy this, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. I hope you all have an amazing day. Take care, everyone. Wait. You want to make your top 10 too? What's your favorite game of all time, huh? You keep interrupting my list, huh? Say hi. It's Griff, the board game poppers.